can hear me okay. Hope your Sunday evening is going well. I did have plans to try and do an arrangement of Randy Newman's Feels Like Home, but I had 2 gigs yesterday and I'm feeling a little bit washed out. So maybe we can try and do some stuff. Ernst, I don't actually have a Les Paul. Do you mean like an actual Gibson Les Paul, presumably? I may have some Tokai kind of what are they called, Love Rocks, which I might be able to demonstrate on the channel at some point in the near future. But I don't have a real Gibson Les Paul, which might be disappointing to people that were expecting an actual. Right, the Helix is not coming through again. Right, let's hold on then. Properties from this one. Hopefully you can hear the guitar now. I don't think you could hear the guitar, could you, Eddie? It would have been coming back through the speakers though. Hey Domenico. Right, so cool second name is Sasu. I'm going to try and do a little bit of this Randy Newman tune. That might be how I would do that intro. Something like that, maybe just to kind of give a little bit of a reference to When She Loved Me. Practice that little bit again on something that I might. Hey. ask questions. I'm just working through this. So that's a little bit tricky. No. Like that, I don't know. It's a little bit tricky, clearly. Right, where's this particle reverb? Because that's throwing things off a little bit. It's really hard to get that kind of flowing. It feels like home to me, Jason, or something like it. Cali, Texas Channel 2. That's not that clean. Hey, Clive. Right, I need to sort out your thing as well this evening, Clive. I'm going to drop off that guitar tomorrow to UPS. That'll make sense. Right, feels like home. Just check the chorus part of that. Let's put it in the right key. Yeah, they're all written in like C, which is not the key that's in. Yeah, it's quite a seriously checked finish. Hope you're doing well, Clive. Hope you're doing well, Gaming Warlord. Hey, Mark. Oh, it's frozen, is it? Great. I'm also here. Seems that if I lightly touch this camera, kind of doesn't like it. Why? Plug it in. Sound okay? Picture stuck. Annoying. Is that going to fix itself? Probably not. Could be good. Anything I could do to that one? Where's the other camera? Is there a way to refresh it? Activate. Activate. Hey, got it back. What a result. Right, it's not the processor speed. Hey Tim, do you have some advice on how to get as fluent as you can be with chord scale changes, identifying chords within scale patterns? It's stuff that you have to just practice. So the sort of thing I'm doing right now will help with that. So what I've also kind of, as anytime you can be trying to recognize chords, it's good to do so. So even if it's simple stuff, this is how I started doing this. Like an Ed Sheeran song or something, you listen to the song, identify the key it's in initially, so like if it's in A, and then try to just listen to it. Okay, what's the bass line doing? Okay, that's going to the D. Okay, and if I'm in A major, I can start to know my way around the A major kind of home. And you know, so if I'm playing in A major, I know that if there's a D in the bass line, probably it's going to be a D major chord. Likewise, if there's an E in the bass, you know, I know it's probably going to be a dominant or an E. And you just get this kind of basically start to recognize what belongs in A major, and you know, the same for every kind of other key. So that's like the ear part of it, and then just be interested in chords is like the other part of it. If you're just kind of using chord books and stuff like that, and you know, relying on the traditional stuff, you may not find loads of stuff. But jazz, for instance, is a good place to kind of start to discover new chords. Eric Johnson has been a really good place to discover new chords, different ways of playing chords as well. Alan Holdsworth. So just try and find a player that inspires you on that journey, I would say, and you may find yourself going down the road of finding new chords. I'm quite liking that for the intro. Wayne, it should be in the Helix folder of the expression. So if you go into 3.0, it'll be in the little Helix folder at the top. I just found it. And then things just like taking triads around Bastion is a good plan. Even like that kind of thing can be a road to finding interesting chords or interesting ways of playing things. It doesn't always have to be super complicated, in my opinion. Mark, disappointed with the Helix tremolos. Let me put one on and see what my instinct is. The one that I quite like is just a straightforward tremolo auto pan one. And what I like to do with it is turn the speed down really low. I don't know. Yeah, I personally don't find anything to be particularly disappointed with. So I haven't figured out a way to play the chorus properly yet. What, Helix prayer? Shut up, Jake. You knob jockey. Right. Let me just, feels like home. Just need to figure out the... Randy, where are you? Hopefully this won't come through. It might be. I'm just going to turn that off so that I can actually hear this without getting demonetized. Right, so I've got the second half of the... how that bit goes in. You like the recent video on EQ? What recent video on EQ? Hey Patrick, I don't have a great idea. Maybe the Seymour Duncan power stage might be a good one. Or something else. I don't know. Hey Duke. Or not, that's not how it goes. I think that's that anyway. 60s, 70s style tremolo. You kind of got them in there, but it's, I don't know. You've got as much tweakability in there, to be honest, as you need with any. I've never found them disappointing myself personally. Jake doesn't have a Helix Ray. He's just joking. Lenny, go to bed. That's good, Tony. I'm trying to play Randy Newman. Hey, Aaron. So the chorus bit is still sort of evading me. Set the high cut in a separate EQ or at the globe. I'd use it in the cab. Which song? It's supposed to be Feels Like Home Guitar 156265, which is a memorable name. Right, what are you doing, Lenny? Are you singing along? What are you shouting? Because I can't hear you. Why are you doing that? Hey, Wagner. Ah. of difficult to get that flowing in any kind of way, especially when I've got someone shouting in the next room. Any questions about anything? Oh yeah. You should check out Ross's video on that. I have done an actual video on EQ, kind of trying to contextualize it for myself. You might have seen that, but I kind of pitched the Mezzo Boogie EQ against like a real piano, just to get an idea of what those things are. It is probably not actually that close to that one, actually, weirdly. There's a Route 66 and a AC30. Three-hour drive. That's not the one. You can hear Ruben now as well. That's Ruben, Jake. It's the Chihuahua. Doug, Helix or HX Stomp? Right now I'm using the Helix. Are you asking which I would choose? Then Christopher asked, what cans am I wearing? They're Mass Drop HD6XX, which I think are Sennheiser HD650s, but with a slightly different case or something. So something like Sennheiser HD650. Brat Cave asked, hi John, what was your overall verdict on the difference between the Boss IR200 and the Iridium? Were they more or less on the same level? So I think around about, so yes. The thing that I noticed a lot of people were very kind of sniffy about the Boss amp modelling, or amp models. But when I actually put the same IR in both, it was quite a big difference. I don't know whether maybe it's the Boss IRs that are somewhat lacking or something, but I ended up putting a Worship Tutorials IR in both the Strymon Iridium and in the, whatchamacallit, the IR200. And then once I'd done that, I found like they were definitely in that ballpark of whatever. I don't know that either is necessarily hugely accurate, or I don't know how they do their modelling stuff. But the plus in favour of the IR200 was that it's also capable of some other cool things, like it is actually an interface as well, which is useful, I think, for that sort of money, as well as having some high gain options and that sort of thing, and can have a slightly longer reverb or very long reverb. It's not quite as straightforward as the Iridium, and possible to get some kind of dodgy tones out of it in a way that the Iridium is slightly more limited, not necessarily in a bad way. Allergic to Boss amp modelling. Yeah, I don't know how they're doing it, and I don't know whether we're really their intended market, if I'm totally honest. It doesn't seem like they push things in a big way in the European or US market. I don't know if amp modelling is a big part of what they do anyway, or the Boss GT1000. Seems like their drum and piano stuff might be where their money is, or in their actual individual pedals. The Boss GT1000, GT1000 Core and all that stuff doesn't really seem to do massively well. Would that be fair to say? I don't see many people using them. That's not necessarily saying that the product's not decent, it's just there must be some reason for that. Doug asks, is the Helix still my favourite modeler? The answer to that is a resounding yes. This is odd, Wayne. Congratulations on Jose Aldo's win yesterday, Alexandre. Hey, Mr. CD. It's supposed to be feels like home, Randy Newman. In disguise today. Who is this then, Mr. CD? I'm going to guess Sam. It's got to be Sam, hasn't it? So in this preset, Someday from West Side Story. What's that one? I've got a there's two reverbs in this because I've got two paths. I've got a glitz reverb with the mix at 20, decay at 6.9, and then on the other path I've got probably the same thing, I'd imagine. A glitz with the decay at 2 and the mix at 20, so there's kind of two reverbs. weight loss program. Oh, it's doing the same both times. Remember. Hey Mike, I can try and have a listen to Someday, Clive. Is that Stephen Sondheim or not? Nope. Yeah, you're right, Wayne. That's exactly what I've done. The particle verb is what I've turned off, just because it also does some pitch stuff. The particle verb sometimes. Cool. Thanks for the kind comments, Harry. Just rewatched the Kingsley page. Did you ever explore that further or not for me? So Jeremy, that was Jake's pedal, and in the end, I found it a little bit bright for my tastes. I think. I don't know whether it's really designed to be used more into like a dirty amp already. How do I monitor my Helix? Live, I use the power cab, and at home I use JBL LSR 305s. It's quite a cool preset, isn't it, Wayne? The only difference here is I've got the tremolo on the bottom kind of line of it, but that's not doing a huge amount of stuff. And if you use your expression pedal, Wayne, you've got a freeze like that, and a ring mod, which is anyone got any questions about anything? I guess we can go for like another 15 minutes if there's useful stuff. Am I the vocalist on my SoundCloud stuff? The answer to that, Christopher, I'm afraid is yes. Unless it's a female singing, in which case that's my wife. So Mr. CD was you, Sam. Is that correct? So Helix still trumps the newcomers like FM9 and Quad Cortex. So for me, the Quad Cortex is not really anywhere near inspiring for me because it doesn't have a looper, and loses points for kind of ripping off the Helix interface completely, as well as kind of coming in like the next big thing, and then, you know, making promises that 2 years later we're basically yet to see. So, you know, like the plugins on the device, they're not really there yet or anything like that, which I think was a big reason that some people jumped onto the pre-order and all that stuff. So for me, there's a few reasons not to particularly dig Quad Cortex, and so I stopped doing stuff with that. The FM9, if you were looking for a thing to do those things, I think the FM9 is really incredible. There's not as much appetite on my channel for people to watch fractal stuff, so I continue with the Helix stuff anyway, and when I come to actually making music, I find the Helix is the most inspiring and the quickest for me to get tones that I want out of. Do I incorporate analog gear along with your digital units when gigging? The answer is generally not too much. Generally, I try to keep it just being the Helix. I use the HX effects with my real amps, so like I use the HX effects in the loop of the Mesa Mark 525 last night for a gig, and I find that a fun way to use it, and that can also switch the amp. If I'm using the HX Stomp, I sometimes use like an expression pedal, but generally I don't tend to, you know, bother taking a pedal board alongside the other stuff, just because I don't know, I feel like if I was taking the Helix would be enough, and if I'm taking an amp and the HX effects, that'd be enough. And also generally on these gigs I have to take the PA and take care of the sound as well, so I basically want something that's fairly straightforward rather than having to worry about too much. And I feel like a pedal board on top of a Helix, on top of an amp or an FRFR would just be too much to kind of set up and get ready. So at the moment I'll either take a Helix or an FM3 and a power cab, or I'll take an HX Effects and a Mesa Boogie Mark 525 in the loop of the Mark 5. I have the HX Effects, and that's amp switching, channel switching. You know, I like to keep things fairly simple. I think there's plenty of other things to keep you occupied on a gig as it is, and oftentimes the last thing that I'm having to think about when setting up is the guitar. So I have to set up everything else first. Is kind of the thing. So, and also I want to try and keep my rig kind of light and minimal-ish, because it's got to fit in the car with the PA and all that stuff. So yeah, the HX Effects is pretty nice for that, and the Mark 525 is pretty nice for that. It's quite small. If I'm taking the Helix and the power cab, that takes up a little bit more space in some ways, but I could fit that on the front seat. Sail Away album, I'm not familiar with some of that. What's the tune Marie on? Oh, cheers, Sam. So at home I mostly use the Stomp or the Helix, because most of the time when I'm playing at home I'll be recording something, whether it's a video or trying to demonstrate some aspect of something. The Helix or the HX Stomp is what I grab for most of that. Downstairs I've done a couple of videos on this. I tend to be having something like the New X Mighty Air, or literally the New X Mighty Air, because that's cheap, cheerful, and can sit on the kitchen table and basically be inspiring enough to play and practice through. Oh, cheers, Wagner. Wagner, how do you say that? Not like the German composer, Wagner. So yeah, that's that. I'm going to try and record Feels Like Home in the next couple of days, but maybe I want to try and get it, because it's one of my favourite tunes. I want to try and be able to play it a little bit better, and maybe have some bits planned out. Wagner. Hey Bob. Hey the Supersonic. So yeah, my favourite tune, I'll try and do something with that. Can I play any Prince? Yeah. See if you get this one. I don't know if you know this. I don't know the tune that you've said, which was something about April. That's not Randy Newman. Yeah, so that's a tune of Prince's that I know, or you know, obviously. The Nano Qtron. I think it's quite cool to have the Qtron in a thing which uses a bit more friendly voltage. I think the proper Qtron needs 12 volts or something like that in it. I can't remember properly, but or 24 volts even. Retweak your lead patches for humbuckers. I've actually done a video on that. Is it your presets suck or something like that? Yes, here's a video. This one may help Bob. So it was literally trying to address that exact thing that you're talking about. So the thing, whenever I play my lead presets with humbuckers, I just keep them the same because I'm looking for the difference that the guitars make. But typically if I'm using the Les Paul type guitar, I'd go straight into the bridge pickup. I've done some stuff with an 8-string actually. Let me see, Strandberg. Try this. Gaming Warlord. That's me trying to play an 8-string. I've done it a couple of times, but in the end didn't really get on with it in the way that I hoped I would. I used to play 7-string guitars. I've done 2 videos with a Strandberg, I think. Let me find you the other one. I can't say I really got on with the guitar, to be honest with you. It didn't quite feel right. Here's the other one, Gaming Warlord. And then there's some videos on the channel of me playing a Harley Benton 8-string, which I actually got on a little bit better than the Strandberg with, probably. Yeah, the site Les Paul was on the channel recently. As I said, I think Rose Morris are letting me demo a couple of other Tokai guitars, so I'll have some more, slightly more traditional Les Paul-ish things, although not actually Les Pauls. So that's probably not really particularly interesting to anyone, but that's what should be happening. Oh, sorry, Jules, I didn't answer. Excuse me, I didn't answer your question. You asked about if I still play the Quad Cortex. No, I don't have one anymore. I sold it just because the updates weren't interesting enough to my followers to continue to really do much, or that's the impression I got. And yeah, I'm just not particularly interested in it right now. I thought it was interesting to see if they had kind of lived up to the hype that they created for themselves. And as time went on, I started to think maybe it's going to be a while before they catch up with what they wanted to achieve. And you know, that being the case, I'll be able to pick one up used further down the road if I want to, or if not, wouldn't be an issue. What's an Xmas special? You mean like comedy special? Or a holiday edition? remind myself of the lick that I wanted to practice this week. This one. Just because I can't quite remember how that went. Anyway, thank you everyone for stopping by. It went like that. That's what I wanted. Right, but yeah, are you gigging a lot these days? New Year gigs may be. What are your expectations from 2022 from the music perspective? Asked Bob. So, I'm not gigging as much as I was before lockdown, and I'm kind of hoping to keep it that way a little bit. So there's a little bit less of kind of driving around the country for gigs that aren't particularly either well paid or not particularly inspiring, and a lot less kind of midweek stuff. And in some ways that's allows me to do some other kind of things that inspire me a bit more, things that might actually be beneficial in the future. But yeah, I've got a New Year's gig, local in Exeter, so it's nice not to have to do loads of driving for that. I was did 2 gigs yesterday with Lenny and the band, and I think I've got a jazz gig on the 22nd of December, but the rest of December is kind of quiet, which is probably fine. In the past, I would have been gigging maybe 4 or 5 times a week in the summer, and maybe somewhere close to that in the winter, like, you know, Christmas season. I'm not doing that so much anymore, and I think I'm kind of glad not to be in some ways. There was going to be a Mark Kelly's marathon gig supporting a band in March. I don't know if that will still be going ahead or not. But that was something that was going to be quite exciting, taking that stuff. So Mark Kelly's the keyboard player from Iridium, who in the middle of lockdown asked if I wanted to record on an album. I said, how do you know who I am? So hopefully something will be happening with that in the near future. That could be quite cool, and maybe I could do some kind of videos leading up to that, and maybe even try and get some footage of that, because that could be quite cool, I think, to actually do something semi-proper in music. Before lockdown, I had started doing the odd kind of solo, kind of jazz-ish gig with a bit of looping and stuff. That's gone away. But that was pretty nerve-wracking anyway, so I'm not sure that I totally missed that. So yeah, that's kind of 2022, I guess, is going to be doing the same thing. I might do a few more gigs with Jake, hopefully. So Jake was the guy that you saw in that video that I did last week. We played a gig doing that Mayer tune, and we did a bunch of other kind of Mayer tunes and John Mayer tunes, and some country stuff. Hopefully that sort of thing, you know, can be pretty fun. But yeah, aside from that, there's the band that me and Lenny play in, which has turned out to be really good fun actually. Doing the second set is kind of super rocky, which is just nice to kind of let your proverbial hair down. That's just cover stuff, you know, like the normal stuff that most of us might play in pub bands and function bands and stuff, but it's still pretty fun to me. So that's about all there is to it, and there'll be, like, you know, gigs depping last minute probably. Have I watched the 3-part Beatles Get Back videos? I have not. There's a few Beatles tunes that I really love, and then there's some of it which I don't really know a whole lot about at all. Jake, you just have to be a proper lad, and then you do it. Basically, you start listening to it first, Jake, as with everything, and then what I would do if I were you is I'd start writing a list of what the tunes are, and then put the key next to each of them, and maybe write a few of the chord changes if there are some that you need to know. The Justin Timberlake one, it's the same process for everything basically, but it just involves sitting down and maybe you just start off with a pen and write some stuff down, or yeah, and then gradually you'll commit it to memory. The first few gigs that I did with them, I had to have kind of the notes just to kind of fall back on, but as you get to be more familiar with it, you'll be fine. This is a K-line Springfield. It's like 5 seconds of each song, yeah, so that makes it easier. So you end up with like a list of 30 songs, Jake, and that's just how it is. And you might have the key written for each bit of each song. And then like key riffs, you just know. Yeah, they are all kind of a roast. The JT one's tricky as well, to be fair. How's it go? But yeah, right, anyway, thank you for stopping by, and on the channel next week, I want to try and do some more things with the Vox. I may try and do something with the Cornford Carrera of Tony's. Let me know if you've got any requests for things. I'm going to try and do Feels Like Home to me. Feels Like Home. Feels Like Home. If you want to like this video, that would really help. I think people find live streams in the future. I think it lets YouTube know that this was what you were looking for. If it was. If it wasn't, then feel free to not like it, because that would be counterproductive. And so yeah, any other business, yeah, I'm also selling the British Racing Green K-line if anyone wants that guitar, just because I've got a Telecaster incoming, so I decided that that one would be on the chopping block, as this one and the blue one are my favourites, and the yellow one is pretty close to the blue one, and the green one was the last one that I got, the black green one. So I will be getting rid of that one, I think. So yeah, if anyone was looking for a K-line, and Wayne, I need to remember to send you that guitar. Right, I'll catch you in a little bit, and thank you for stopping by. Cheers.